Beloved Madridistas, welcome back. Okay, I promised I would do this. Sorry it took so long, but the Euro kicks off. Obviously, Germany played yesterday, but it kind of all kicks off today. But okay, let me throw out sort of my thoughts on the Euro. So listen, a couple of things to remember. First of all, I will be giving you guys some commentary from time to time in terms of the Euro or anything that important that happens in the Copa America, especially with regards to our beloved Real Madrid players. But listen, a couple of things to remember of the Euro. Okay, don't forget, I'm going to give you guys who I think will go through, the two that'll go through in each group. Don't forget that 4 of the 6 groups, 4 of the third place teams will also go to the next round. And don't forget this, the Euro tends to throw up really crazy stuff, okay? Like the World Cup, the winner of the World Cup tends to be, one of the favored teams. It kind of always makes a bit of sense. The Euro does not. Denmark won it one year when Yugoslavia was kicked out. Denmark was invited last minute. They didn't even have time to practice. They ended up winning it. Iceland has won it. Greece has won it. Even the time Portugal won it, it wasn't really expected. So the Euro is always full of surprises, so keep that in mind. But okay, let me tell you who I think is going to go through in the groups. I'm going to give you guys my top 3 teams that I think can win it. I'll tell you obviously who I think will win it. And then I'll give you my 2 dark horses, potential surprise teams of the tournament. So thanks for joining me. Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about the Euro. Hi, Madridistas, welcome back. Okay, let's go through this quickly because there's quite a bit to run through, so we'll try to do it really fast. Okay, Group A. Okay, Germany. Listen, they're coming off a weird period. When I was growing up, Germany was always phenomenal. They were always, semifinal, final, very consistent. They're coming off a very kind of unfortunate period, very uncommon for them. But I think Germany is back. Okay, the Flick period is over. They have talent across all lines. They're just kind of good at everything. Good combination of skill and power. There are no weaknesses in this German team, and they're playing at home. So Germany definitely up there. Scotland, look, I mean, stronger than previous versions. Players like McTominay obviously have proper experience, etc. A good combination of sort of experience and youth, some quality. But to be honest, I don't see them going too far in this tournament. Hungary, is one of my sort of dark horses. They actually topped their qualifying group. They didn't lose a single match. They did very well in the Nations. I don't know if you saw that tournament, but they were ahead of Germany and England in the Nations League. They did very, very well there. They've been playing very well for the last sort of 3 years. So I think this is kind of one of those dark horses that we need to be aware of. Switzerland, they're always kind of solid. They can surprise you from time to time, like they did to Spain in the World Cup in the opening group match at one point. But I think they're lacking a bit of bite. I think they're competent, reasonably well organized, but I think they're lacking a bit of bite. And I don't think that they're the type of country that are going to surprise us this time. In Group A, I've got Germany and Hungary going through. So that's my opinion on that group. Okay, Group B, the quote-unquote group of death. Spain, look, Spain is always good, very technical, very good on the ball. There's a lot of talent, good combination of sort of young and old. But I think something is missing, okay? I'm not entirely sure what it is. I think maybe we're missing bite up front, but something I think is missing. I mean, I think Spain will do well, but I'm not expecting them to win it, certainly not this time around. Croatia, look, Croatia's always very good in this type of format, in tournament formats, very competitive always. They have players that do have proper experience, Luka Modric obviously, but even Kovacic and Perisic, I mean, they have proper quality experienced players, and I do think they have a potential to get quite far in the tournament. They have a competitive spirit that I think is always there in tournaments. Italy's bipolar, okay? I mean, how can you not qualify for 2 World Cups, but somehow in the middle become European champion? It's completely inexplicable. I mean, the 1-0 loss to North Macedonia that, kept them from going to World. I mean, to do that and then to go and win a Euro in England, playing the final against England. I mean, it's really bipolar stuff. I think, look, they have some good players, Chiesa, etc. But I don't think that they really have what it takes to win it this time around. So listen, okay, Albania, let's do this quickly. They were top of their group actually in qualifying. I think that surprised a lot of people, but they're no sort of major stars. I would be surprised if they got anywhere. They don't really have sort of experienced anchor players to do the job in a tournament like this. So in Group B, I'm going to go with Spain and Croatia going through. Italy will make it eventually as a number 3 in the group, but I don't see them going through in the top 2 spots, which I know is slightly controversial, but I got Spain and Croatia going through. Okay, Group C. Okay, let's talk about England. We obviously have to talk about England. Now, England has ridiculous talent across the board, okay? I mean, just individually, there's no doubt about it, okay? I mean, Jude and Kane and Foden and, Declan Rice and Kyle Walker. I mean, player by player, there's an incredible amount of talent there. I just think that England has just a mental problem. There's just something mental, psychological. Now, Jude is the type of player that I think it can help the team kind of break through this, but there always seems to be something psychological that keeps England from winning in the big moments. So I also think that Southgate is a liability. I don't think this is a very good manager, and I don't think that he uses the squad particularly well. And I think Harry Maguire is a massive liability. I've never understood why the English keep playing Harry Maguire. It's something beyond me. I've never understood it. I think he's one of the worst central defenders I've ever seen in any league in my life. Okay, Slovenia. They're very good. They were good in the qualifications. They were second in their group, but with the most goals scored. So they do have quite a bit of firepower. Recently they beat Portugal. So they are a competitive team. They've only lost 1 of the last 10 matches. So they are a very good offensive team and have surprised people lately. So I think Slovenia will come out of the group. Denmark. Okay, Denmark. They always have a particular style of play that's very elegant. They're always a dignified competitor. Don't forget they have won this in 1990, the Euro that I was telling you about. But they're always competent. They always play well as a team. They always have some technical players. I mean, they're always competent. So I expect them to do well. But I don't expect them to go too far. Serbia, okay, they were behind Hungary in the qualifiers. They're kind of a veteran team. They do have some talent, but I just don't think they have enough bite up front. I mean, Jovic has been a disappointment, not just here in Madrid, but I think that they're missing firepower. They're missing the kind of the players with the presence to make a difference. In Group C, I have England and Slovenia going through. So those are my 2 going through in Group C. All right, Group D, France. France, man for man, probably the best squad in the tournament. I mean, they should be favored on paper. To be honest, I think objectively speaking, they should be favored over England. I don't think England's going to win it. I think France on paper is probably the strongest team. Pound for pound, player for player, it's just the amount of talent on that squad is ridiculous. And don't forget, these guys are always there. They're either winning tournaments or they're in the final. But France in the last few tournaments consistently is there. This is a team that knows how to win. They know how to get to finals, and they have talent coming out of their ears. Holland, okay, Koeman is back. That's sort of refreshing. The team seems to have good vibes. They'll probably be a bit more offensive now. They've been playing a sort of 4-3-3. They always have very good technique. They touch the ball very well. The only thing that's always been missing with Holland, there's always some kind of chemistry issue. There's sometimes the players don't quite gel as a collective. They have a long legacy of sort of infighting among players. There tend to be ego issues, but the talent is certainly there. So I expect them to be very competitive, although I don't see them winning it. Poland, okay, Poland has been better since they swapped managers. Always a sort of reasonably competent team. Now Lewandowski is doubtful, and I think that's a problem because if you remove Lewandowski from this team, you're missing goals. So I think Poland is I'm not expecting too much from them in this tournament. Austria was 1 point behind Belgium in the qualifying rounds. They're playing a little bit. They used to kind of be a classic kind of, defend and counterattack type team. They're playing a bit more possession football of late, so they're playing a little bit better. They have some good players. Now, don't forget they're missing Alaba. which sort of would have been a reference point in that squad, and he's missing. So a solid team, but again, I don't see them surprising in this tournament. Now in Group D, I've got France and Holland going through. Okay, now Group E. Ukraine, I think can be quite surprising. Okay, they have an enormous amount of talent individually. I mean, don't forget that up front they've got Dvobic, who was the Pichichi in La Liga, the top scorer in La Liga, and then the second top scorer in La Liga was Sorloth. So you've got an enormous amount of firepower up front. Now Mudryk, who's a player that doesn't do particularly well at Chelsea, he does seem to play quite well when he plays for Ukraine, so he seems to wake up when he plays for the national side. They've only lost one match in the last 10, and like I say, they have a lot of firepower up front. So I think Ukraine can surprise in this tournament. Okay, let's move on to Slovakia. They're, a competitive team. They made Portugal sweat. In qualifying, they did make Portugal sweat, so they do know how to defend and they know how to compete. But I don't think that they have enough individual skill, enough firepower to do anything major. Belgium. Now, Belgium, as you know, there's a new manager now since Roberto Martinez left. I think that Belgium feels less pressure these days. There was so much pressure put on that generation of the last 2-3 major tournaments. Some of them are still around marginally, but I just think that there's less pressure. They do have plenty of talent. I mean, you got guys like De Bruyne, Lukaku's still around. But I just think that there's kind of an air of rebirth in Belgium. So I just think that they're going to be playing with a bit more freedom, and I would expect them to perform quite well, which is kind of surprising given that they're coming off this sort of amazing generation. But I just think Belgium is now going to play with a load off their shoulders. Romania. Romania's been unbeaten. They were pretty competitive in the qualifying round. Dragusin is sort of their most recognizable player. He plays at Spurs. They play pretty well collectively, but again, it's just one of those teams that I just don't see anybody carrying it. I don't see enough individual skill or offensive power to do anything sort of unexpected. So in Group E, I've got Ukraine and Belgium going through, which might surprise some of you, but I think Ukraine is going to be one of my dark horses. Group F, Portugal. Now, this is another case of man-for-man ridiculous. I mean, you look at the talent. I mean, by the way, Cristiano, he may be playing in Saudi Arabia, but you know how competitive he is and how fit he stays. Cristiano still scores ridiculous goals, and don't be surprised if he scores a ton. But Bernardo Silva, Vitinha, Bruno Fernandes, João Felix, Leao. I think Leao is an amazing forward. There is so much skill in this club, and as you know, Roberto Martinez now manages them. So there's been a change in terms of management, but the quality is certainly there, and I think Portugal is one of the teams that I think could win this. I don't think they will, but I think they're one of them. Now, let's go on to, Czechia. All right, they tied with Albania in the qualifying round, the Czech Republic. A solid team. Schick is sort of their reference up front, very good striker. But again, one of those teams that I think is sort of, solid, physical, defend well, etc. But I just don't think have, what it takes to really make it far in the tournament. Now, Georgia is kind of an interesting story. I mean, you guys probably remember that really dramatic playoff against Greece. That was just so dramatic. This is kind of the first major tournament that they participate in. The star of the show, obviously, is Kvaratskhelia, or Gvaradona, as they call him in Napoli. Really, really talented player. But again, it's a team with very little experience, and there's only so much one player can do. So I'm not expecting too much out of Georgia, but I think they're just excited to be there. And I think it's exciting for us to welcome them to the big stage. Turkey. Obviously, we're all going to be watching our beloved Arda Güler. Turkey also has a tendency to be bipolar, right? They can be very good, or they can just completely fall off a cliff. You never know what you're going to get. I mean, they finished actually ahead of Croatia in their qualifying group, which is really, really impressive. But then they lose to Austria 6-1. So it's just very, very, I think Turkey's very unpredictable. They have a lot of young talent, and they have been competitive in tournaments in the past. It's just that you never really know what you're going to get. So I think Turkey's hard to predict. But that said, in Group F, I've got Portugal and Turkey going through. Okay. All right. So that's kind of what I think in terms of the groups. Now, my top three teams that I think, one of these will win it will be, my top three are Germany, France, and Portugal. The team that I have to win it is Germany. Okay, I think that Germany is back. When I was growing up, watching Germany win was just very common. They were either in a final, semifinal, they were lifting the cup. I think that they had a very unusual spell in the last sort of 2-3 tournaments, but that's very unusual. I think this German side is competitive. They're back. They're good in every line. They combine strength and technique. They know how to finish. They know how to defend, and they're playing at home. So Germany is the winner for me. The other two teams to watch, I think, are France and Portugal. And then my two dark horses are Ukraine and Hungary. Okay, so if you have a betting account out there, I think you can still bet on I don't know, the numbers are crazy, 200 or 300 to 1 or something crazy. But I think in terms of surprises, and the Euro does throw up surprises, in my mind, Ukraine and Hungary would be sort of the potential surprise factors. But anyway, those are my thoughts on the Euro. Hope you enjoyed it. I know it's a lot to digest, but I'll come back to you from time to time with comments as the tournament goes on, and as we watch our boys in the Copa America as well. So thanks for being with me. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next video. And even though it's a Euro, a la Madrid.